Good evening. Welcome to Heart with the Hansons. This is a special Saturday edition that we're doing. This is Saturday, May the 10th, 2014, and tonight's topic is the step family. We had did this broadcast last Sunday on our normal show.
Yes, we did.
And we had some technical difficulties, and it really took away, I think, from the importance of the show. So we just wanted to redo it and give our listeners an opportunity to hear a much better version. Tonight's topic is the step family. What happens when two families collide? There's your kids, his kids, ex-spouses, in-laws, and friends, and all kind of people that can bring unsuspecting trouble for you and your new spouse. And I say unsuspecting because until you've been in a remarriage, there's like a whole lot of assumptions as to what goes on, and when you get in, you realize that it's not always the same way. Unfortunately, much of what we assume does not happen.
Right.
Tonight we're going to talk about some ways to manage those pitfalls by making a plan, setting boundaries, and following through. You may feel like you're going crazy and, what is happening to your dreams? Why are we having this problem? What is going on? I didn't anticipate this. And we're going to give you some really good coaching tips on how to combat that and how to get better. We'll be offering pre-marriage workshops designed for couples who are getting married, and where one or both of you have children. And if you're currently experiencing any problems in your relationship, we invite you to bring your spouse to the radio here, to the internet.
Definitely.
And let them hear, because it certainly helps for both of you to hear it at the same time than to have just one of you go back and give the information.
Yes, it does.
We're not going to be... We don't usually get a lot of call-ins, but if you feel like calling in, I'll give you the number, and if you have something you'd like to share, you're more than welcome to. Our number is 480-409-0773. That's 480-409-0773. So now I'd like to welcome my husband and best friend, who's also a step-parent and a step-dad, my husband, Leif.
Thank you, Kristen, and welcome everybody. Tonight's show that we have planned is a very good show. Like Kristen said, we had a few technical difficulties last week, and we just felt the integrity of the show didn't shine through.
Absolutely.
This is a very important subject. It's very near and dear to both of our hearts. We've been married almost 4 years. Both Kristen and I are step-parents. Now, we live 3,000 miles away from her ex-husband, but we live down the street from my ex-wife. So we have interactions weekly because the kids are coming back and forth. Some divorced parents and family members fail to refuse to realize that all of our actions affect the children and set a precedence to how they see their stepfamily or how they'll grow up to be in their own marriage or relationships.
Absolutely. And that's what happens, when people get divorced and they remarry, they often go into the relationship with good ideas of how the family's going to be.
Sure.
And like Lee was saying, when your children see the way you interact, that sets the precedence for the way that they're going to behave in their marriages. Now, depending upon how your divorce went down between you and your spouse, it can foretell a lot of how things were going to proceed in your marriage. One of the problems is the expectations of the ex-wife. She may feel that she has a degree of control as to what goes on with her ex-husband, her new wife, and the children. She may feel that she has the right to dictate how that family unit is going to operate. And this can be a huge problem for the American family. And I say problem because it causes many unfortunate circumstances for her ex-husband's new family.
Sure
it causes a lot of problems. And I'm a stepmom, and I'm divorced. I have an ex-husband, and I can understand how, you feel that your authority can extend, and
Sure.
and it really doesn't. And I just found out recently there's some really great books on the subject to help stepmoms understand how the ex-wife feels this way and what she can do to counteract it, and hopefully engage in a healthy relationship for everyone. I'm going to have those links on the website. Now, the point of tonight's show is to help families understand how we can work together and not against each other.
Oh, yeah.
We're going to share some step-family statistics. We're going to give an overview of the 8 biggest concerns that step-families face today. We're going to share some feelings of how a stepmom feels, how dad feels, and then how do we move forward. It's going to be a big show with a lot of information. So even if you want to grab a pen and paper and write some things down, there'll be some really good tips.
Oh, definitely. Definitely. I'd like to start off by sharing some statistics from the Step Family Foundation. Okay, there are 1,300 new step families that are forming every day.
Mm-hmm.
Over 50% of U.S. families are remarried or recoupled. The average marriage in America lasts only about 7 years, and then 75% of them remarry after the first divorce. And then the divorce rate is 68% for the second marriage. It's kind of crazy.
It is, and we talked about in one of our past shows the rate for a first marriage is 40% divorce, right? And then you get divorced hoping to get it right the second time, and then the divorce rate goes up to 68%. Now, if it's a marriage where there's children in it, it does go up over 70%.
Sure.
And it's not that there's anything wrong with the children. It's really learning how to blend a family together.
Mm-hmm.
And now we're going to discuss some of the 8 common issues that face step families today.
Right.
Number 1 is being a step family does not mean that you're a blended family.
No, it doesn't.
And when I first read this statement, it really hurt my heart because I had assumed when I moved my children down here that my children and Leaf's children would all join together and we'd have this one big happy family.
Right.
I thought that everything with his family and my family and everything would go really well. I had a lot of ideas of what I felt it was going to be. But what I didn't realize that just because you're a step family, it doesn't necessarily mean that you're even going to be a real family or a blended family. It can be very much like strangers living in the same house. The definition of a blended family is a family that coexists together, respects each other, and has a natural goal to be happy and prosperous. And that takes time. And that's the one thing I want to stress. Being a step family or being a blended family doesn't happen overnight. It takes work. It takes time to get to know the children. What do the children like? What do they don't like? Get to know their characteristics. When you're parents and you're married and you're the original parents with the children, it's difficult enough to have a marriage and a relationship going on.
Oh, it sure is.
And you bring someone else's children in, and it's not that anything's wrong with the children, it's just different parenting, and it changes the whole dynamic of the family.
Sure does.
So be patient, go slow, go with the pace of the children. It can often take several years before you actually feel or consider yourself to be a step family. So many stepmoms, they get into it, and I was one of them. Oh, this is going to be this great family and blah, blah, blah. And it's not my race to win. It's
right.
a journey. It's a journey.
And that's how it should be,
Mm-hmm.
Number 2, children hearing negative talk about their father and their new mom or the new wife. Depends on how you want to view that one.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, the ex-wife may talk negatively about her ex-husband and his new wife out of anger and frustration about the divorce and their new marriage.
Yes.
She may tell this to the children and encourage them to feel the same way.
Oh, yes.
She may guilt them into agreeing with her and encouraging them to feel the same way. She may guilt them, right, I said that before, but she may also extend these feelings to family and friends, demanding that they feel the same way.
And that can be common. They kind of get a rally going.
Right, well, she can build up a force against the ex-husband and his new wife as a way to railroad them.
Mm-hmm.
This does damage to the children. Already scared and upset about the divorce, they're confused about their natural feelings for their father, and how this complicates by her action.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, if this happens, encourage the children to be honest with their feelings and reassure them that they're loved.
Mm-hmm.
Get legal advice. And settling this through the courts is often the best way.
Mm-hmm.
The children may be afraid to tell their father what is happening. Be aware of their actions and their feelings. So you're just going to want to take a moment and really, listen to what your kids are saying, and really just assure them that, we love you.
Yes.
We love you in our way. We love you. I love you as your dad. Here, Kristen, she loves them as a mother. Mm-hmm. She is there to see them prosper in their life. She is there to see them reach their full potential. She is there to love them. she isn't there, though, to replace their mother.
Not at
Their
all.
mother is always going to be their mother. Like I always say with Kristen's girls, my stepdaughters, your dad's always going to be your dad. I'm not here to replace him. I'm just the dude who's hanging around here who has some advice for you.
It's fun time with you.
Well, sort of is. But, and that's one of the things I think step-parents can really help there is it really isn't their place, not to get ahead of ourselves, but to be the disciplinarian. You want to let the biological parent kind of handle that, and we'll touch on that in a minute. I don't want to get ahead of us on that.
No, that's okay.
But it's kind of important as a step parent to I mean, in my case, create a nurturing feeling towards these kids, and not make them feel like, oh, you need to call me dad. No, you call me Leaf. It's all good.
I think that's a big issue in step families today, is calling the parents mom and dad. If the child wants to do that, that's fine. But I think that should be up to the child to decide. I never have ever said to my stepkids, call me mom. Never. I have no intentions of...
Just when you use my name, use it respectfully.
Use it respectfully.
Just don't be disrespectful with it.
Exactly. And when children hear... They hear their biological parent, they're upset they're getting a divorce anyway, and when they hear them talking negatively about their parent, saying, oh, they did this and they did that, you have to be very careful what the children hear, because that causes damage in other areas. They're already, like you said, they're already confused about the way dad left or maybe mom left, and they're unsure about what's happening.
What's going on? Why can't daddy come home?
Yeah, and now all of a sudden you're telling me I should him. And let me tell you, there's a lot of women out there that will force those kids or punish those kids, and they get so wrapped up in the fact that they're divorced that if you better be on my side, because if you're not, I'm taking everything away from you,
Right.
And they can get very passionate.
The kid can't act like they're happy to see their biological parent when they go visit.
They feel punished.
That's not a good thing. That doesn't lead to a healthy adult when they eventually grow up.
You have a great relationship with my ex-husband. You guys were buddies, hanging out,
we do.
chilling. You guys get along very
when he
well.
came down for the graduation, I got to hang with him for a bit and take him for a little guided tour around Gilbert here, and got to show him. We dropped in on Taryn when she was at work, and I was like, hey, you want to go check on Taryn? She's at work. Do you want to? He kind of looked at me like, okay. And it's like, hey, let's go, Paul. Let's go. This is cool. And I got to show him some of what he was missing, so he could be part of it as well. I really believe that unless there's extenuating circumstances, like you have a biological parent who is involved in stuff that you really don't want the kid pulled into. We all know what that means. To really kind of make sure that those biological parents, if they're not in that situation, make sure they're involved in these kids' lives, because that's going to go a long ways to keeping them feeling, okay, and then this talk isn't going to be impacting them so much. But I know we got to move along here.
No, that's okay, because what I was going to say is that it's good to encourage a relationship with the step parent, even though you may not like that person, and there's going to be circumstances, there's no rule that says everyone has to like each other.
No,
but there
isn't.
Should be. When we get to our
but everybody needs to respect
tips,
each other.
Respect is very important, and there's so much we don't want to get ahead of ourselves. Let me go on to point number 3. I'm sorry. Point number 3 is what I call stepmother, stepmonster, and history and fairy tales have taught us all along that stepmothers are evil and poison their husbands' children. Children have a natural fear of their father's new wife because of this already.
Right.
And the role of the stepmother is often the most difficult and misunderstood in the whole family. And because of this, it's good to go slow and just take your time with the children. It's not my goal to be the children's mother. And for other stepmothers out there too, I recommend, just pull back. No matter how excited you are, just pull back, and there's a whole way that we can work this. We know you're excited. We know you're excited to be a part of it. And okay, to be honest, maybe there's some stepmothers who aren't. Maybe there's some that are terrified. Maybe there's some that are really having a bad experience right now. I can understand that.